The final immediate inference we'll talk about is contraposition. Now with contraposition you're going to do, again, two things. First, you're going to switch the subject and the predicate terms, and second, you're going to replace those subject and predicate terms with their term complements. So as you can see here, we have our AE and IO statements, and so it would look like the following. So if you have all A are B, you'll have all non-B are non-A. You've switched those terms, and you've put in the complements. You've put in basically everything that exists outside of the class of those terms. So again, looking through these Venn diagrams in order to determine whether or not the contraposed statement has the same truth value as the original given one, we can look through this and see as follows. So if we say, for instance, that all cats are mammals, then the contraposed statement here would be all non-mammals are non-cats. So anything that exists outside of the class of mammals is also going to exist outside of the class of cats, right? Cats have to be mammals. It's part of their classification. That's the sorts of things that they are. So as you can see here then, with A statements, we can say that both the original statement and the contraposed statement have the same truth value. So they're logically equivalent. It's logically equivalent to contrapose these. Now if we look at E then here, if we say, for instance, no cats are reptiles, then the contraposed statement here would be no non-reptiles are non-cats. So that doesn't necessarily have to be true. So it is very much true that there are no cats that are reptiles. Okay, so we can kind of take that as a given. But we don't know if this is actually true, because all this is showing here, as these lines are indicating, is when you map this on a Venn diagram, you're going to shade out anything that is outside of the two classes of cats and reptiles here. So if you say no, things that are not reptiles are not cats, well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, so there are other things in the world which may be essentially non-cats as well. So it's indeterminate whether or not this is really going to have the same truth value as that, or if it's actually going to turn out to be false. More information has to be given on that account. So when it comes to our E statements then, we're going to have to say that it's undetermined whether or not the truth values are the same. And the same goes for our I statements. Again, with these, when we say some A's are B's, so some dogs are brown animals. There's at least one dog in the world that is a brown animal, as indicated here. But if we say some non-brown or anything animals, something outside of the class of brown animals, say black or white or gray animals, are non-dogs. Again, given the statement alone, or outside the class of dogs, we don't entirely know that. Again, that's the idea here, is that we can't say this from the statement alone that this is a true statement. So we're just saying that whatever exists, whatever that individual is, it's existing outside of both of these classes here. It's sort of the opposite of the E statement. But again, we can't say for sure if something like that statement would be true, and so it's undetermined whether or not the contraposed I statement has the same value as the initial I statement. So again, if you were given an argument and it was an E statement or an I statement, and it was contraposed, and the question was, is this a valid argument, you wouldn't be able to determine whether it is. It would be undetermined whether or not it really actually was the case. Right? The final sorts of statements, the O statements, are going to be like our A statements insofar as they're going to have the same truth value as the original. So if you say some cats, or excuse me, some dogs are not brown animals, there's at least one individual that is outside the class of B, well, then the opposite here would be some non-brown animals, some things outside of the class of brown animals, are not non-dogs. They're not outside of the class of dogs. Okay, so it's still within that. So that maps out as the same here. And so we can say then that both the original O statement and the contraposed O statement have the same value, and we can determine that they are logically equivalent.